All right, let's dive right into something that, let's be honest, trips up pretty much all of us: human motive. It really does feel like this incredibly complicated maze, right? But what if I told you there's a surprisingly simple key that can unlock the whole thing? Let's get into it.
I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? It's the most fundamental question there is. From the smallest little act of kindness to the biggest life-altering decision, what's really pulling the strings behind the curtain? We think we know, but so often the real reason is buried pretty deep.
And yeah, this is why it gets so messy. The second you try to pin down a single motive, you're hit with this tangled web of feelings, obligations, and raw desires. It all just feels chaotic, and it's so easy to get completely lost in the noise.
But here's an interesting thought from the source material for this explainer. Maybe this confusion isn't an accident. Maybe it happens because we're all looking in the wrong direction.
So here's the trap we all fall into. We see an action or we feel a powerful emotion like greed or love, and we immediately slap a label on it and say, yep, that's the motive. But according to our source, those things aren't the motive at all. They're just the symptoms, the triggers, or maybe the end result. The actual motive is way, way simpler. And because we get so caught up in all this surface level stuff, we can pretty much justify any action to ourselves because the true motive stays hidden.
So what if we just cleared all of that clutter off the table? The source we're digging into today proposes a pretty radical idea, a total shift in perspective that just cuts right through all that confusion. It argues that there aren't dozens of different motives. Turns out there are only two.
That's right. Every single human action, if you trace it all the way back to its absolute root, comes from one of two fundamental states. That's it. It's like a binary switch. It's either on or it's off, one or the other.
And here they are. Seriously, this slide, this is the absolute heart of this entire explainer. On one side, you have ill motive. This is any desire to take from a situation for your own personal gain. Could be money, could be reputation, anything. On the other side, you've got good motive, a purely unselfish desire to help someone else for their ultimate advancement. So the real question is always, are you trying to get something, or are you genuinely trying to give something for someone else's growth?
Okay, so you're probably thinking, but wait, what about pride? What about greed and kindness and all that? Well, this is where we have to make a crucial distinction. We have to separate the motive state from what actually pushes us into that state. Let's just call those the drivers. Now, the drivers that push us into that state of ill motive, well, they're probably going to look pretty familiar. The source lines them up with the classic deadly sins. Things like pride, greed, envy. These are incredibly powerful forces that get us focused on taking advantage of a situation for ourselves.
And of course, on the flip side, the drivers of good motive are the virtues. Humility, kindness, selfless service, these are the forces that point us toward that purely altruistic desire to help someone for their own sake. So you see, the drivers are the cause, the motive is the state you land in. Okay, so theory is great and all, but let's see how this binary framework actually holds up when we apply it to some messy real-world situations. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's take a big, public, charitable donation. The action itself looks great, right? The stated reason? To help the community. Sounds noble. But if the real driver underneath it all is pride, that secret desire to be seen, to be admired, to boost your own reputation, then the underlying motive is to take advantage of the situation for personal gain. And according to this framework, that's a clear-cut ill motive.
Now, get this. The source takes this concept even a step further. It argues that even doing good deeds hoping it'll earn you a spot in heaven, that still falls under ill motive. Why? Because you're still doing it to get something for yourself. You're trying to take advantage of the situation for your own ultimate reward. This brings us to a much tougher example. The source makes a really bold claim with this quote. It's suggesting that simply giving material aid without looking at the bigger picture can actually end up being harmful.
So to get what this means, let's use the source's example of famine relief. The argument goes like this. Aid that only focuses on providing food might not address the root cause of the problem. The source suggests that a truly good motive would involve helping people develop the tools, the foresight, and the spirit to become self-reliant. The focus, always, is on that long-term, ultimate advancement.
And I think this is brilliant. This framework doesn't just apply to giving, it applies to receiving too. Think about it. Are you asking for help because you're just trying to avoid putting in the effort yourself? That would be an ill motive because it's holding back your own development. Or
Are you asking for help as a genuine tool for self-improvement? Well, that's a good motive.
So after looking at all these examples, you can start to see the real power of this framework. It helps us step away from all the confusing details of actions and triggers, and it just gives us a simple, powerful tool to work with.
I want you to think of it like a yardstick. You can hold any action up against it and ask one single question. Is the real intent here to take advantage for myself, or is it to genuinely help someone else for their own good?
The source actually wraps up by connecting this whole idea to a piece of timeless wisdom, suggesting that this intense focus on the pure benevolence of our inner state, not just the flashy outward action, has been a guiding principle for a very, very long time.
And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. The next time you do something or you see someone else do something, try to look past the action itself. Look past the surface level emotion that's driving it, and just ask yourself, what is the true state behind it all? At its core, is the intent to give or to get? It's a simple tool, isn't it? But using it with total honesty, well, that's the hard part. It forces us to look past all the stories we tell ourselves and really confront what's powering our actions. So I'll just leave you with that question to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.